I really despise, doing this during the day because of all the goddamn glare and shit that's from the pictures, and I'm not going to pay money to get some fancy schmancy thing. Sorry about the shake. Anyway, I just want to talk a little bit, and I've talked about it before, talked about him before, about the death of President Jimmy Carter, who died yesterday at the age of 100. He had just turned 100 in October, and he remains, and it'll be for a while. He was the longest lived U.S. president, and he had the longest post-presidency of any president, 43 years, I believe it was. It would have been 44 in January. And neither one of those records is going to be broken anytime soon, if ever. But he was a great man. He accomplished a lot in his life. His late wife, Rosalind, was a full partner in that relationship. And I've talked about that, about how they had such a rare partnership. And I think I talked about that in connection with the death of Ethel Kennedy, because she and RFK were also very close partners. But I mentioned, a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, or whenever it was, when Jimmy Carter entered hospice care, and he, hospice is allegedly for those people who are expected to die within months. He lasted almost 2 years, in hospice care, because he decided he didn't want any further medical help. And the thing is, anyway, I talked about how what kind of a person he was, and also about my encounter with him in 2006. Back then, and I'd seen him in person several times during that time period, in 2004 and also in 2006. And I've been real lucky because I lived in Nevada for so many years. In Nevada, during that time, it became a swing state, and still is a swing state. So all the big political figures come in during what was formerly the caucuses, and then now it's a primary that they've got. And I saw so many famous people, so many politicians, and Jimmy Carter was one of those. And his son Jack ran for the U.S. Senate in Nevada back in 2006. He was challenging incumbent Senator John Ensign, and it was an uphill battle for him, and he didn't win. But I donated quite a bit of money to that campaign. And anyway, this picture here, which I'm going to use as the thumbnail, only it'll be the original picture and not this reflected shit. Carter spoke several times. President Carter, he spoke in Carson City, and he had Rosalind with him then, and they were both in their 80s by this time. And then he spoke at the University of Nevada, Reno. This is where I took this picture and took several others. Too bad I kind of chopped off the top of his head there. But, it's a good picture otherwise. And he also spoke at a private fundraiser, which was held in the Montrose section. It's a expensive, high-end McMansion development out toward Lake Tahoe. It's on that highway, Mount Rose Highway, Highway 431 or 341. It's one of the two. I think it's 431. And 341 is the highway to Virginia City. But it's one or the other. I'm not going to look it up. But anyway, it was some prominent attorney's house. And I don't even remember the attorney's name now. But anyway, it was a small gathering. And I still have video of Carter's speech that he gave on behalf of his son, and talking about his own presidency and the need of human rights and all that. But that's in storage, so it's not easy to get to, and it's on 8mm and not on any kind of digital thing. But anyway, I was there, and I donated $250 to that event. But because I didn't donate $500, I couldn't get a print made of me taking a picture with the former president. But I did get a picture taken with the former president. It's just I never got a copy of it. And I wasn't a big enough fat cat, right? But anyway, when I went up to see him, oh gosh, I didn't say, hello, Mr. President. I said, hi, how are you? That was so damn embarrassing, But, he was such a good guy. He was just without any pretense, any pretensions. And that goes for the entire family that I met there during that time. They were without any kind of phoniness and any kind of well, I'm better than you. No, they were really, truly salt of the earth people. I met two of his grandkids, and they were just so nice. They were just wonderful people. But that was kind of my in-person encounter with him. But I had seen him. Oh, and I also want to say he also gave a speech over at what was then John Asquaga's Nugget. And it was a dinner, and it might have been, I'd have to look it up. I don't know if it was during that election. It might have been after the election, or it was before that, and he was a keynote speaker. I think he was a keynote speaker for the Democratic Party or something. And the food was just superb. It was French food. Oh God, it was so damn good. But he spoke there. So it was like several times I'd seen him in person. But, really, it's a small world. You'd be amazed at the people that you run into that know people, that know somebody famous. And this is as famous as it gets when you're a president of the United States or a former president. And let's see, how many of them have I seen in person? I saw or conversed with, but generally just saw in person. Let's see, first president I saw was Gerald Ford when he ran for election, because remember, he wasn't elected when Nixon resigned. That was back in '76, and he was in the '76 primary because he was running against Ronald Reagan, who later became president. So Ronald Reagan I saw in 1976, and then of course Jimmy Carter I saw, and then I never got a chance to see George the First in person. Never got a chance to do that. I probably could have in Reno, but I never could get off work or play hooky to do it. So that one I did not see. I saw Bill Clinton several times after he was president, and he was campaigning for Hillary, his wife Hillary, both in the primaries in 2008 and in her presidential campaign. Well, no, it was just the presidential primaries in 2008, not her presidential campaign. No, that's incorrect. And then I saw George II in Reno when he was campaigning for re-election in 2004. Then I saw Barack Obama in 2 or 3 times, I think 3 times, in Reno. And then, of course, Joe Biden I'd seen 2 times. I never saw Trump in person. But also opposing candidates I saw former president and presidential candidate Al Gore. He campaigned for the Clinton-Gore ticket in 1996 at UNR. And I saw 2 times, I saw Dick Cheney, who made appearances in Reno 2 times. And I mean, on and on and on and on and on. Okay, I've seen him. I saw Romney. I saw and got autographs. I got John McCain's and saw him a couple of times, got his autographs. Most of these I got autographs from also, as well as also rans. So I was lucky. I was really, really lucky. And seeing former President Carter and actually having chatted with him, even though I kind of made a fool of myself, that was something. So anyway, I can't stand this glare. So we're going to get out of this glare. Anyway, there was a good article by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution about him too. So I'll add that in there. And I had to get the hell off of this glare because I can't stand it. I can't stand the dark theme for that reason. And I want everything white background because it doesn't glare as bad. But anyway, that is it. I thought I'd pay my respects and to the late president and talk about him. And oh, by the way, and after Jack Carter lost, you know, and old Ensign was reelected, well, Ensign had to resign from his office over a sex scandal. So who really was the loser in that election? Anyway, that is all I have to say about the former president. And he's supposed to, and they're going to do a state funeral and all of that too. I think on the 9th of January. But anyway, that is all for me today.